Please welcome Red Hat Vice President and General Manager of the Ansible Business Unit, Sathish Balakrishnan.
Hello, and welcome to AnsibleFest 2025. We are absolutely delighted you could make it this afternoon. Get ready. A lot has changed since last May, and we are eager to tell you all about it. The landscape is shifting dramatically as the changes we've foreseen begin to take shape, presenting a unique opportunity in our industry. Building on this morning's message, the time to prepare for AI has passed. It is now a fundamental part of our reality. The challenge and the opportunity for every automator and IT professional is to harness AI to deliver significant value. Now, while AI is clearly a major strategic priority, it is important to remember it's not the only one. What's truly remarkable is seeing organizations of all shapes and sizes at every level of tech adoption and across all industries facing such a consistent set of shared challenges. Add to the AI equation the realities of rising costs and complexity you're managing. You're also actively addressing big questions of legacy modernization and your virtualization strategy, plus the security and compliance aspects of this disruption demand your attention. The great news is this: automation is the common thread that can help us overcome these challenges. And witnessing the incredible work of the Ansible community and ecosystem, I'm more certain than ever that it will be you, the automators in this room, and your teams who will come together to drive the transformative IT operations needed to thrive in the age of AI and beyond. Let's explore how. We keep coming back to the same core themes, don't we? The 3 C's: complexity, cost, and compliance. The tech world loves to say change is the only constant. Perhaps, but it certainly feels like the imperative to manage cost, navigate complexity, and ensure compliance is one constant we can always count on. In today's climate of shrinking budgets, increasing uncertainty, and ever-growing service demands, the pressure on these areas intensifies dramatically. The organizations that can effectively tame complexity, slash costs, and maintain robust compliance at scale will possess a true competitive edge. Speaking of gaining an edge, we are thrilled to have Chris and Christy from Barclays here today. They have truly knocked it out of the park with their automation strategy and are delivering massive strategic impact. The insights they're going to share are incredibly valuable for all of us. And if you're wrestling with compliance, prepare to be amazed. We are also joined by Subhashish and Aidan from Swift, who operate at a whole different level when it comes to safeguarding the backbone of global finance. Their story will definitely inspire you and highlight the possibilities you can achieve when automation is done right. Now, speaking of constants, let's talk about virtualization, which has long been an unshakable foundation of enterprise IT. However, what was once a bedrock is now facing a tectonic shift. Think back a few years. Would you have guessed that virtualization would be a top 3 strategic focus area for the industry in 2025? Perhaps not. It is a testament to the surprising direction this ever-evolving landscape can take us. IT organizations now find themselves in an urgent need of a flexible, scalable, and an affordable way to not only move virtualized workloads to a new virtualization platform, but also consistently manage their day-to-day operations across both Windows and Linux environments. Now, if you're wondering how Ansible fits into all of this, think about this. In the past 1 year, Red Hat Ansible customers have run an astounding 34 million plus playbooks. 34 million plus playbooks related to VMware management. And keep in mind, that is just a snapshot from roughly 15% of our customers who share telemetry with us. We are all engineers. I'm sure you're trying to extrapolate the data. Let me take the guesswork out of your minds. I estimate it's going to be around 300 million playbooks that have been run to VMware management in the last year. This underscores a key point. Red Hat Ansible Automation Platform is uniquely positioned, arguably the only solution at enterprise scale to effectively address these virtualization challenges. For that, we are thrilled to have Evgeny from Google with us today for an insightful Q&A. He will be sharing some remarkable perspectives on how Google is utilizing Ansible Automation Platform to tackle the growing demands for virtualized workloads in the cloud. And finally, this brings us to the inevitable discussion of AI. While generative AI has captured much of the early attention regarding AI's impact on enterprise tech, our perspective has been firmly rooted in a different but yet crucial angle. Automation is the essential foundation that will drive successful AI adoption within IT operations. As we highlighted last year with our customer MapFree on this stage, sustained and impactful AI adoption hinges on three things: automation of underlying processes, enabling technology teams in new ways, and of course, the heightened focus on connecting tools. The developments of the past year have only reinforced this view. IT operations teams will remain absolutely vital in tackling the challenges and realizing the potential of AI. Leveraging Ansible, your automation prowess, and the capabilities of the Red Hat AI and Ansible ecosystems, you will be ready to help your organization achieve the potential of AI for IT operations in three key ways. One, streamline AI infrastructure delivery. The generative AI capabilities that business is eager to implement will rely heavily on the infrastructure your teams build and manage. Two, unlock AIOps by turning observability data and intelligence into action. AIOps doesn't stop at observability. It starts there. Automation makes it complete and actionable. And three, maintain the reliability, the resilience, and the compliance of your growing AI landscape, encompassing both new tools and evolving workflows. We will wrap our time together today with a look at how the Red Hat Ansible Automation Platform experience is evolving with new tooling and features that allow automators to tap into existing advancements in AI for IT operations space. But first, we are going to go more in-depth on a recent development that we are all excited about, because the possibilities for streamlining full infrastructure lifecycle management offer so much value in taking on those 3 C's I just mentioned. So I'm thrilled to have welcome a special guest from HashiCorp.
Please welcome HashiCorp co-founder and Chief Technology Officer, Arman Dadgar.
Arman,
so great to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Arman. Welcome.
Well, that was quite the walk-on music.
That's pretty good, right? So we want to make sure that special guest feels special at home. By the way, Arman, we've been seeing a lot of each other, right? Good seeing you again. Thank you for joining us. It's been a long time coming since IBM announced the intent to purchase HashiCorp. Now the acquisition is complete, right? The realtors are, everybody's good. Regulators are good. How has the integration process been going for you now that you're working with the IBM, the Red Hat, and the Hashi teams?
Yeah, no, it's been great. I mean, to your point, it's been a long time coming. We announced the acquisition early last year, and it was only end of February this year that we officially kind of joined the family. So I think the positive of that is that we had about a year to spend time with our teams together, Red Hat and Hashi, to really start thinking about where do we want to go together with the product experience. So I think that's been the positive side. I think a lot of good stuff that we're excited to talk about today.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's talk about Ansible and Terraform, right? Because it's the story of competition, which doesn't exist. It's actually a story of collaboration. Everybody thinks it's competition, and it is not. And we both know that, our products team know that, which is awesome, right? It takes care of combining the full lifecycle management, and all enterprise customers want a better Ansible and Terraform integration. How does Red Hat Ansible and HashiCorp Terraform integration benefit customers and solve shared challenges?
So probably my favorite tweet was right after we announced the acquisition. And it was a member of the community who said, Terraform and Ansible sounds like a terrible combination. And I think it was my favorite pun, but I actually think it's a really fantastic combination, because I think it speaks to your point that these two tools were always complementary, right? Going back to the very origin of when we created Terraform, it was always born as a provisioning tool. And from day zero, it had deep integration to do configuration management. And I think our goal, as we sort of looked at where our customers are struggling today, is feeling like, well, okay, I might be provisioning something day zero, day one with Terraform, but then, couldn't it be a tighter integration to AAP? Couldn't it be a tighter integration to EDA? And then when do I get to day two and I need to do drift management, patch management, all these things? They're not well integrated today. And then you think about the different approaches in state and inventory management. So I think what we've heard from our customers is we love using these things together. They solve a complementary set of problems, but can you make it work better together? So that's where I think bringing them together, you kind of get that end-to-end infrastructure as code experience, where we can say, great, day zero, day one, do the stand-up with Terraform, do a tight integration to hand over that day one initial config management, and then day two, day three, and beyond, the two tools can work together. And I think we have a great example of customer tomorrow, Wells Fargo, talking about exactly how they're marrying Terraform and Ansible as part of their journey tomorrow. So I'd recommend checking that out.
100%. Thank you for that, right? So if anybody here was confused that Ansible Terraform did the same thing, leave this keynote. If even there was one thing you left with, they're complementary. They don't compete with each other. Okay? They do not do the same things. They work together. So the synergy is obvious now that we've clarified it. The one thing that you and I have been really excited about, that we're all super excited product teams working together, is the value of Ansible and Vault. What are your thoughts on what we can bring to the market there?
So I'm super excited about this one. I think the challenge when we set out for Vault was really to say, okay, how do we have a centralized approach to secret management, whether that's username, passwords, API keys, certificates, SSH keys, which you might need if you're using something like Ansible. And so we solved the problem by saying, okay, let's centralize it, tightly encrypt it, and make it an API-driven workflow. The challenge is, okay, great, the secrets are there, but what about the end applications, right? And I think as many of us know, most organizations have some mix of homegrown applications, but there's also a lot of commercial off-the-shelf apps that we have to manage that won't ever have native Vault integration. So I think the opportunity is, as we bring Ansible and Vault closer together, it's great. We can centrally manage the secrets. We can store them, rotate them, make them dynamic, but then we can do that last mile delivery using Ansible to say, okay, great, I'm paving the app and putting the application out there, but then can I fetch the certificates, the API keys, the tokens that the app needs, pull those from Vault, deliver them with Ansible, and then keep them refreshed and rotated when we think about things like certificate rotation, for example, or database rotation. So I think that's really the opportunity, is how do we do a secure automation end-to-end, marrying Ansible together with Vault?
Absolutely, Armand, right? I think this is a great story for everyone who's trying to build their sovereign clouds, doing things around compliance at scale. Ansible, Vault, a lot of possibilities here.
So maybe let me throw the question back to you. I know our teams have been talking a lot about better together. How are you thinking about connecting Ansible better together with the HashiCorp portfolio?
Good question. I think that's what people here are really wanting to know about, right? What is the thing that we are going to do? So in the near term, right, I think what we are trying to do with Ansible Automation Platform and Terraform Enterprise and Terraform Cloud, from the Ansible side, we are doing three things. Initial focus is on enabling workflow templates to call Terraform Enterprise during Ansible workflows. That's number one. Number two, we are doing platform-level configuration of Terraform and Vault instances. And number three, out-of-the-box configuration content for Vault to support AAP and OpenShift customer adoption, right? So let me lob the same question back to you. What are you guys doing from the Hashi side?
Yeah, so a whole mix of things. I think starting with Terraform Enterprise and thinking about how do we tightly connect with AAP. The first piece of that is having a post-provisioning hook. So when Terraform finishes that sort of initial execution and stand-up, how do we then invoke AAP to run the configuration management and make sure the infrastructure is fully baked as part of that process? And then going one level deeper is really starting to think about what are the different points within the lifecycle, and how do we have a tight set of integrations there, and then leverage things like EDA so we can get into very fine-grained uses of configuration management when we're at different key inflection points within Terraform's management of creating, modifying, deleting various types of infrastructure. So kind of looking across the whole thing, of course, looking at an official Terraform and Ansible provider as well, and having first-class module collection between the different products as well.
That'll be fantastic. It's going to open a lot more opportunity for everyone here, right? Thank you, Armand, for being here with us today.
It was my pleasure. Thanks so much for having me. Thank you so much.
We're truly excited to continue this journey with Armand and his team, and hopefully we'll have Armand back at stage next year. But again, thanks to the Hashi team for collaboration. So if you're using Hashi, know that Ansible and OpenShift are going to be integrating with a lot of those things. Now we have an exciting story from Barclays that you will definitely enjoy.
Please welcome Barclays Managing Director, Infrastructure Platform Engineering, Chris Kozlowski.
Thank you. Great to see you all today. I'm super excited to be here today. I'll tell you, first of all, a little bit about myself and how I came to be here. You see, I hate toil. I've always hated toil, as far back as I could remember. As a child, my mom will attest to how difficult it was to get me to do my homework, or do the dishes, or pick the socks off the floor in my room. The reason I hated those things is because they kept me from play. And play was something that usually involved my computer. I didn't finish school, way too much toil there. The first job I got, perhaps ill-conceived, was as a landscaper. And you can imagine I didn't last very long at that. The next one, ironically, was as a Solaris sysadmin. I had known a little about computers from my play days, and I thought this would be a perfect job. At the time, companies were willing to take chances on people who weren't formally trained. It was the late 90s, and tech skills were in short supply, or as the kids these days say, the 1900s. Well, I felt really betrayed by that job because somehow it wasn't fun the way I expected it to be. It was toil. And I came to wonder, was it possible to make technology fun and make it play when we were getting paid for it? The answer came to me pretty soon after that. I, again, counted on luck. I was brought into a team of software engineers who were producing infrastructure products as a service. Before that was really something that was a term that existed in the industry. These people hated toil the way I did. And they made things scale. And they taught me a lot. They brought me under their wing. And together, we did a great deal of reducing toil, actually preventing toil from ever occurring, scaling service adoption through engineering rather than by growing our operations teams. So I learned there that it was possible to do, and I had a good long career doing that there. At some point, I became curious. Was it possible to apply those same techniques to teams that had not gone on that same journey, to the many brownfield environments that I know many of you here are trying to transform and bring into automation, platform engineering, into modernity? I've been doing that for about 5 years now, and I've learned a few lessons about what it's like to do that. And that's what I'd like to share with you today, that journey. Because I do believe it's possible for us to redeem our IT operations teams, our legacy ops teams that are dealing with so much toil that they don't know how to make a move. And I use the framework here today. Now, transformation is more art than science. Engineering is a science. You know when you've engineered things correctly because they work. And you can test for that, and it's repeatable. But transformation is not like that at all, because you're dealing with real-world teams, flesh and blood teams that have their priors. They have convictions. They're difficult to work with, and they may not be bought in. They may not understand what it is that you're trying to explain to them with the experience that you have building platforms. A lot of our IT ops teams are, in fact, in this very state. And it's not easy, but I believe it is possible if you meet the teams where they are in their journey, if you understand them, if you build trust, if you have an ability to embed yourself with them and learn what it is that they do in their day jobs and gradually build up their understanding, their conceptual framework, along with the tools. Of course, like Ansible can be used at any point in the journey here, but it's important to understand where your teams are if you're going to be successful. And so today, we've arranged something like it's a progression. I don't think it's possible to skip. I don't think you can jump to a heavily abstracted, engineered platform from the primordial state that our IT ops teams find themselves in. But it's possible to build up their understanding of the problem such that it becomes possible for them to take steps on this journey. And that's important because I know that we have a whole lot out there that is, needs to be disrupted. But how to go about this is not, again, it's not a science. There's no framework for this, at least not yet. One of the things I'm hopeful about, though, is that the lessons that I've learned over the last 5 years working with teams such as these and having success usually at the cost of making mistakes and screwing up, which is the only way I've ever learned anything. But you learn, right? And then you learn what works, and then you put things together and you can apply them. Fortunately, we don't all have to make mistakes in order to learn. We can learn from each other. So one of the things that I'm hopeful that we'll be able to take away between today and tomorrow is an opportunity to collaborate as engineers, as leaders, as folks who are trying to our best to transform our teams and the business outcomes that are predicated on them. And so today is just a teaser of some of the things that I've learned, and these may be different in your organization, but I think the basic pattern is probably pretty similar no matter where you go. And again, I do believe that passionately that this redemption from toil is possible for these teams. So let's talk a little bit about what that means. Use the analogy of flight. There are 4 components of flight that are needed for us to actually have an airplane in the air. And you have to solve them, I believe, in this case at least, make a leap. You have to solve them in a particular order in order for them to be effective. And that order roughly reflects where we meet our teams in order to bring them forward on this journey. This is not about technology. This is about organizational health. It's about culture. It's about building trust. It's about understanding where teams are in relation to their customers and in relation to each other. I'm going to be talking about enterprise environments here because that's what I spent my life supporting, in which no team is an island. Every team occurs in an ecosystem of teams. They depend on them. Other technology teams, compliance teams, security teams, teams that provide resources to teams that provide resources, et cetera. There's a lot of recursion. And so value is limited, in my view, if you focus on just a single team. You actually want to figure out how to transform the entire value stream. Well, that gets harder still in an organization where, again, there's silos, politics, and turf wars. How do you bring people on that journey? And that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. Hopefully some of this resonates. The stage that you will find most teams, most of these IT ops teams that are dealing with established environments that scaled up without engineering of the solutions, is in a state of drag. That's the thing that they're mostly facing. They can't make any forward motion because every day they just spend their time doing their jobs. There's no time to improve the environment. The improvement of daily work does not happen. It's just all about daily work. These teams are low trust. What do I mean by that? Well, they don't trust their customers. Because after all, their customers need so much of their help every day. Right? Would you give them the keys to your kingdom? No, of course not. They don't understand. They're coming to me with questions every single day. I need to answer those questions. So they don't trust their teams. They don't trust you, the person who's trying to transform them. They may have had automation done to them. This is a story that I see happening again and again. Well, clearly these teams can't do this, so let's hire somebody else and have them automate the work of these teams. I've never seen this work, but I've seen it corrode trust. Whether because those teams are inherently skeptical about someone else coming to take their job, or maybe they were actually made commitments to reduce resources because, well, we automated a few things successfully, and some of those automations never last because they weren't built by the people who understand, who own the problem. And these teams don't feel a sense of ownership necessarily of the resources that they manage either. How do you deal with that? Well, there are two things that you can do to help teams that are dealing with drag. One, oftentimes they don't have good observability of their environments. Observability can be very helpful because a lot of times the customer interactions and the things they do, they're low information. The other is to embed yourself in those teams and actually help them with something, help them solve a problem that they understand, that reduces the amount of drag that they face. And if you do those things, you're going to get to stage 2. In stage 2, there's some desire, understanding that things can be improved. Let's automate some stuff. Let's make some toil go away. But there are too many things to worry about. They're not sure where to go with it. They may do something like, oh, well, let's redistribute some of this weight. Let's push it to our customer. Right, or to some other team in the organization so we have less things to worry about. The best thing to do with teams in this state, we're starting to get an inkling of what we want them to do, but they struggle with prioritization, is to bring customer focus into the equation. And the best way to do that is to think about what is the ultimate objective. If a team provides compute, well, what do they depend on? What's further up the stack between that compute and the application teams, for example, that want to use it? Value stream maps are a great thing to bring in. Now, take all the teams that are providing that resource, the composite resource, bring them together. Allow them to understand their own process together, draw it out, and now you have a framework for collaboration. Right? That collaboration, though, comes at a cost because that's a lot of work, bringing all the team. You may have 5, 6, maybe more teams that are involved in that value stream that now need to work together. The good thing is that now they're understanding what is the ultimate objective. Why am I here? And they can work together on that, and they can make real progress. And we've demonstrated this. When teams get together and they draw the value stream and they understand the processes and the things, their purpose for existing, they can start to then understand the next level of the challenge, which is, how do I make it so that I don't have to go back into that room and do that again? Because that's hard, right? That was a lot of work for us. We did this last year where we took things like our server provisioning process, our database provisioning process, and we made end-to-end improvements to those things, and they worked. And the customers felt it. Up until that point, the optimizations we made weren't often not really felt by customers, but then they were because customer focus was what drew them together. What teams that are that have thrust but haven't yet developed lift face is that it's too hard to do that. It can't always be in that mode of operation where you have 7 teams working together optimizing their processes, and the 4th team's process brings the first team along. But they start to understand where the problem is or where the opportunity lies. if we can now understand our boundaries of our responsibility, if we can clarify what those are, if we can establish contracts between our sister teams and start providing as a service the definition of what it is that we're here to do. And that's a very powerful place because that's where you start to build the muscles of team autonomy, where the contract between team A, B, C, D, however many teams are participating in your value stream, they can be autonomous, they can make local improvements, they've established clear service boundaries, they might be implementing APIs that then create a place to meet in the middle. It's because that becomes the thing that prevents you from actually achieving lift. All that thrust is being consumed, but you don't have lift until you have autonomy, mastery, and purpose on each of your teams. The nice thing about this is that you don't need to bring them all at the same time necessarily. You can make local improvements, you can bring teams forward on the journey, and as they reach levels of parity, they can start to federate. I understand what you're here to do. Here's what I'm here to do. Here's how we're going to establish our relationship, and here's how we're going to go forward on this. And it's perfectly possible to do this with your existing teams, but you have to build up their mental model as you give them tools, as you give them Ansible, as you give them observability tools and mechanisms to manage their data. It's possible to bring them on this journey. And I believe that there's an opportunity for us in the industry to create that mental and technical scaffolding that allows us to meet our existing IT ops teams where they are and bring them forward. And if we collaborate as an industry, we can create reusable patterns that we can use in these transformation journeys. And that's why I was really excited to accept the opportunity to speak with you today, because this is an automation conference, and I expect a lot of you are struggling with similar challenges on your teams. And so tomorrow we're going to have a breakout session where I heard it's sold out, but hopefully we'll have a robust conversation about how to make that possible and how to take our teams forward and buy themselves not only the opportunity to make their work fun, but also all of the things that come with it, the business outcomes, the customer outcomes that come when teams are able to collaborate autonomously on a unified purpose without toil. So that's all I have. Thank you very much. Hope to see you tomorrow.
Please welcome Barclays Executive Director, Chief Technology Office and Group Technology Infrastructure Services, Strategic Transformation, Christy Cornish, and Red Hat Ansible Director of Product Marketing, Kaete Piccirilli.
Christy, thank you so much for being with us today. We're really excited to hear more about the journey that you have had with Barclays. Chris touched on some of this, but can you expand a little bit on what clicked for the teams to be able to make automation a strategic focus for you?
First off, thank you, Kaete, for having us here today. As you heard from Chris earlier, we've been on an automation journey at Barclays. It started a few years back when our leadership team asked us to look at 4 key customer journeys. And they asked for us to use the Kaizen methodology, which is based in continuous improvement, in order to do that. And you heard Chris talk earlier about value stream mappings. That is a part of Kaizen, and that is what brought the teams together, our customers, as well as the teams, not only in infrastructure delivery, which is where we were really focused, but what we realized was we needed our cybersecurity team, we needed our architecture team, finance. All of these teams played a part in that customer journey. We then went through and said, okay, how do we improve this? And we were looking, as again, part of the Kaizen methodology, for quick wins. Things like operational changes or handoff improvements, et cetera. Through that process, we did gain benefits that our customers felt. And we also changed the way the teams work together. We did weekly showcases, and the teams would come and talk about either ideas to improve or showcase things that they had done to improve. And it started to create these conversations and break down the barriers.
So taking those teams, breaking down the barriers, dividing things up, looking at that value stream mapping, it was going to be a major undertaking, right, across that whole team. Can you talk about a little bit of that approach of how you got those things in motion?
Sure. So what happened as part of this is we realized that we needed an automation framework in order to bring the teams together to build that customer journey. And as part of that, what we wanted to do was free our teams from toil and from repetitive work. So we created a program called Program Joy. Basically, joy is the opposite of toil, and so we felt very strongly that this was a core belief of ours, that automation could bring joy to our teams and to our business.
I love it. I'm a big fan of automation. So you had ambitious goals, a clear plan on how to implement Project Joy. Can you tell us what has unfolded over the past year? Is there like a single takeaway that you can encapsulate the experience the best?
So I think the key was we had this belief, and I think it was proven, that our employees come in every day wanting to make Barclays better and wanting to make the organization better. They needed the framework. They needed the place to come and showcase what it is that they had learned. But we knew that we wanted to look at automation more deeply. We had the Ansible Automation Platform in our organization within networks. We had other teams that were on the Ansible open source version, and then of course we had other automation going on as well. What we ended up doing was asking the teams to come, bring us their challenges, and with Red Hat's assistance, they helped us figure out what the art of the possible was. And we then created a business value case that we could bring to our leadership around adoption of the Ansible Automation Platform. What we did was we ended up, over this past year, delivering on those financial benefits. Our clients have felt the change. But more so, what you're seeing is that the teams are getting relieved of their toil. They are getting relieved of their repetitive work, and it is bringing joy because they're able to focus on more complex engineering that really is what they want to work on.
So I'm getting a sense that Project Joy, with all of the things that you have gained, is probably not going to be turned off anytime soon. So what's on the roadmap for the rest of the year?
Well, we continue to obviously have challenges. We'll continue to work our roadmap on those things to begin to create more and more complex automation that brings more and more patterns and value to our business. The one thing as well is we can see new teams wanting to come and join us on our journey. And obviously, we will work with them and bring them up to speed as well through this. But what I can tell you is that we will continue our learning culture, we will continue to empower our teams, and we will continue to drive continuous improvement.
That is so amazing, Christy. Thank you so much for being with us today and sharing all of your story, and thank you for Chris as well. Great to see you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah. Thank you so much to Chris and Christy from Barclays. Project Joy stands as a reminder to all of us that with the right strategy, the right approach, and the right follow-through, automation can deliver some incredible results. And as Christy said, savings. We're going to expand a little bit more on the idea of savings as we demo a new feature that is going to be available in the Ansible Automation Platform to our customers. To do this demo, I'm going to ask Sean to come out and show us how we can all have a little Project Joy in our lives. Sean, come on out.
Hey, Katie. So every customer I encounter is looking for an easy way to view metrics on Ansible Automation Platform. Today we're excited to introduce a new feature of Ansible Automation Platform that is designed to help customers measure the business impact of automating IT operations. It is called the Automation Dashboard. It will be deployed on premises and keep all your data local. You will still be able to use your favorite external analytics tools, of course, but we wanted to give automation teams a simpler, more integrated way to quickly and accurately track the value of their work. Let's check it out.
Yeah, let's do that.
The dashboard has an intuitive interface that quickly displays the total number of successful jobs, failed jobs, and total hours of automation. This number is dynamically pulled from Ansible Automation Platform and represents the total aggregate of all automation execution time. The best part, it's all highly customizable for your organization and cost structure. You can enter your specific costs for key activities, allowing you to paint a highly accurate picture for leadership. We know automation reduces toil for teams, freeing up time for more impactful work, and this gives you the detail you need to make automation strategic. With access to every automation job with Ansible Automation Platform, it retrieves the amount of time automation jobs have taken to execute. The manual time fields are fully customizable by you to reflect how much time those jobs would have taken you to do manually. With that information, you can compare the manual and automated time and costs. Also, teams can create a full, accurate picture of automation savings by subtracting the startup costs for new initiatives. This will make it easier to see the impact of each individual automation initiative and help customers make more informed decisions about where to invest resources.
That's awesome.
At the top of the tool, you can also filter by date, specific job templates, projects, and you can even use custom labels. And you can save a particular filter as a report, so you can reference it at any time or hand it to another team. So I'll make AnsibleFest 2025 here. If we go up to the top right, we can export this to a PDF to make it easy just to email your management team and show off being an automation rock star.
Like you.
Maybe. And if we go back down to the bottom, where we had the individual job data, we also have the ability to share this as a CSV file. So we can actually export this to Microsoft Excel or Google Sheets or whatever spreadsheet software you have. We are confident that the automation dashboard will help teams easily track and share the business impact of the time and money savings that Ansible Automation Platform delivers.
I gotta say, Sean, I think this is gonna be pretty useful out in enterprise automation land. So tell us what comes next.
We definitely think so. This will be available for the early adopter program in June. If you're an existing customer and want to try this out, it'll be available via tech preview channels on the customer portal.
Thank you, Sean, so much. I think we're going to be seeing you back in a little bit for another demo, so why don't you go take a quick break. If you want a deeper dive on this feature, please join us in the Ansible booth and check it out. You can definitely find out how you can be a part of the early adopter program. Okay, let's switch gears for just a little bit. Virtualization is having a bit of a moment. And I think that's something that not a lot of us might not have had on our bingo cards for most strategic topics of 2025. But here we are. The market landscape around virtualization has shifted rapidly over the past year, and organizations now find themselves facing real questions about their plans and their options for migrating and modernizing their virtualization infrastructure stacks. I'm excited to have Google Cloud here to explain the role that automation plays with virtualization for them. So come on out, Yevgeny.
Please welcome Google staff software engineer, Yevgeny Demchenko.
Hey, how are you?
Thank you for having me here.
Thanks for being here. I think this is the first time you've been at AnsibleFest, right?
Yeah.
Well, how long have you been using Ansible?
So I've been using Ansible almost from day one of my first job as a system administrator back in Ukraine. We were a relatively small shop, few hundreds of servers, but it was still too much to manage through bash and SSH commands. And as I progressed through my career as DevOps engineer, Ansible stuck with me. It's a great tool to use.
Awesome. So if you look out here, you're going to see over 2,000 of your automation peers who've also found themselves incorporating Ansible in their career journey. Can you tell us a little bit more about how Google Cloud Virtualization Engine has come to rely on Ansible automation?
Yeah, so Ansible is always sort of around me. And once we had a startup, we used it for management a lot of off-the-shelf hardware and lifecycle operations. Once company got acquired by Google, Ansible stuck with us. Agentless, Python-based. It's easy for additional integration if you need to write a custom modules, Right now, with a huge customer demand for single-tenant bare metal instances, which we provide to our customer. At this point, we operate thousands of hosts, maintaining them up and running. It's mission critical for our customers, and it's mission critical for us. Ansible is a very important tool to keep up with the demand.
So let's talk about that demand that you are trying to keep up with for your customers. What are you seeing on your end in the virtualization space that you think is relevant for all of your automation peers here in the room?
Yeah, I would say that with all uncertainty we see today in the market, supply chain issues, a lot of customers want to move to the cloud. They want to offload the burden of managing hardware to someone else. Ansible enables us as a Google to keep up with the demand and maintain our fleet of thousands of hosts running. Ansible is a crucial part of our lifecycle management. Yeah. We are starting with host provisioning and finishing with simple operation later in lifecycle, like disk replacements.
Well, we've talked a lot about lifecycle management today with Armin and Sathish. What do you think is something that might be overlooked, right, as we think of, or maybe a misconception in this whole virtualization experience that's happening right now? Any thoughts?
One of the biggest things I see right now is people overthink it. They think that they're stuck in their old data centers with old virtualization tools and maybe even bare metal instances they don't virtualize. But we are here to help. Right now, we have a lot of tools like Ansible, Terraform, hyperscalers. Industry rallied up around hybrid providers like Google Cloud VMware Engine. If you have your VMware running somewhere, right now you can just lift and shift it to the cloud, maintaining legacy infrastructure running as it was with minimal impact to your operations and improving your future, keeping it flexible.
Evgeny, it's been awesome having you here to share your insights. Before I let you go, any last perspective you want to share with your peers here?
Yes, thanks, Kaete. I think I have some. We have all the tools we need today. We talked a lot about automation, how it's given us all the building blocks we might need to take migration at scale and management of our infrastructure. But we're at the point where it's time to take a plunge. There won't be a killer app that will help you to migrate tomorrow. AI is already here. It can help you write your Ansible and Python code to make you ready to migrate, but it's only you who can make that change. Only you can take your organization where it needs to go. Domain expertise is crucial in our field. AI doesn't have it, and while it's a great tool, it won't make a decision for you. So it's time to go and start migration today.
You heard from Evgeny. Thank you so much for being with us, and we're going to talk a little bit more. We're going to keep talking about some virtualization.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. It's awesome to know just a little bit more about how Google is using Ansible automation to achieve scale and flexibility that is required to meet customer demand. Google is, well, Google, and they've got a lot of customers that are demanding some things. If they're finding Red Hat and Ansible to be able to meet their virtualization moment that's happening right now, odds are you have a place where you can use AAP to tackle your Virt needs. Now, we want to show you a little bit about how you can use AAP to tackle those Virt needs. So let's demonstrate the possibilities. I'm going to invite Dafne out here to do a demo and share some more possibilities. Dafne, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you, Katie. I'll start here. Yevgeny is absolutely right. There is no better time for organizations to take the plunge to get the virtualized houses in order, so to speak. And I'll tell you why, and here comes a hot take. If you have a consistent way to automate across Virt platforms, from vSphere to KVM to OpenShift virtualization to any hypervisor, you get the flexibility you need, and the hypervisor doesn't really have to matter. If you can automate, you can simplify your approach and focus on getting your infrastructure modernized the way you see fit. Let's start with one of the most difficult tasks, migration. When moving virtualization platforms, migration can be one of the most complex projects before handing it over to the operations team. What makes it complex is that you need to migrate hundreds or tens of thousands of virtual machines, as Google did. This is an ideal use case for Ansible Automation Platform. I know I mentioned earlier that there can be a lot of complexity around migrating virtualization platforms. This could be due to the technologies surrounding it, like networking, storage, or the risk of human error. Ensuring the virtualization platform is fully migrated and then ready for people to operate needs an end-to-end automation approach. And let me show you. I will have, OK, cool. Here is a VMware vSphere cluster, and there are 4 virtual machines we want to migrate over to OpenShift virtualization.
Just 4?
Yeah, and to address the elephant in the room here, for the sake of time and clarity, yes, we are only showing 4 virtual machines here today. But the same simple approach applies to this workflow at any scale. Let's see how that will look for these 2 Windows servers, WinWeb 1 and WinWeb 2. With Ansible Automation Platform, we can use some of our pre-made validated content to quickly automate the migration of virtual machines. Let's search the MTV migration job template, not the music TV, but our migration toolkit for virtualization, which allows you to migrate virtual machines individually. Let's go ahead and launch it. Now, we can use the survey feature inside Ansible Automation Platform to quickly put some easy guardrails on our automation. The user interface makes it easy for someone to know what choices are available and quickly migrate a virtual machine from VMware to OpenShift. We can select each VM we want to migrate to and just launch the job. And now we can see the job output, which provides an audit trail for the execution of the automation. This is really important, the audit trail. The job has completed successfully, and the virtual machines have been migrated over. We have reduced ClickOps to a single button push to pull in multiple virtual machines.
So the VMs are already migrated with just a simple survey?
Yes. Is that fast? Let's verify, though, and log into OpenShift to look for our 4 virtual machines. And look, all 4 VMs are there. OK, with the migration complete, it's time for the really important part, using Ansible Automation Platform to automate day 2 operations. Let's say we want to add additional CPU or memory to our systems, or even patch across all our Linux and Windows virtual machines. Once we have virtual machines incorporated with Ansible Automation Platform, it really becomes easy to manage them at scale. And even managing the inventory is very simple. We can dynamically import all the VMs from OpenShift, just sync the source in Ansible Automation Platform, and we'll quickly see on hosts. Now we can see all our imported virtual machines, including the 2 Windows servers. Now we are ready. Then we can patch them using a workflow. This is the very important part. When we sort workflows, we can easily find our day 2 operations workflow. Now we can orchestrate multiple automation tasks. Once we click Launch, we will see the new workflow visualizer. And now we are doing orchestration. If you want to look at an individual job execution, we just click on it. And we can observe the Ansible playbook output and exactly what the automation did. Here you have a record. And I'll hold. It's almost there. And I'm curious here if anyone is interested in chat ops, because I have a Slack notification. Cool. The last step in the workflow will notify my team on Slack. Is that fast? The AnsibleFest bot has updated everyone that the web servers have been migrated and patched. It's easy peasy.
Easy peasy. Thank you, Dafne, so much for showing us the value of AAP for managing and orchestrating virtualization at scale. Don't forget to swing by the Ansible booth, and you can see these demos and more. All right. Thank you, Dafne, so much for being here.
Thank you.
We are really excited for you to hear our next story from our friends at Swift, who are using AAP to keep a huge portion of the world's international financial transactions resilient and secure. So come on out.
Please welcome Swift Product Owner, CI/CD Engineering, Suvashish Ghosh, and Swift Dev Systems Engineer, Aidan Matson.
Hello and good afternoon. Thanks for having us here today. We are excited to be at AnsibleFest 2025. We are from Swift, the world's leading provider of secure financial messaging services. I am Subhashish. I manage the CI/CD infrastructure at Swift, and this is Aidan, one of our automation experts. We are here today to talk about how to use Ansible at Swift, how we use Ansible at Swift to achieve our automation goals while keeping the international flow of money stable, resilient, and secure. Here are some compelling facts. Swift's messaging services supports more than 11,000 financial institutions. Swift records an average of 44.8 financial messages per day, which translates to $300 billion on an average transacted daily through Swift's network. I think that makes us pretty critical to the global economy. What do you think? Swift was established 50 years ago to build a reliable, safe, and secure way for the global finance community to move value in a way that could be completely trusted. Trusted at every instant is a core value at Swift. And over the years, we have constantly evolved in an ever-changing landscape to deliver on that promise. We have a zero-risk approach to failure. Failure is not an option. Our messaging services are designed to ensure 5 nines availability, that is, being available 99.999%. If you do the math, the maximum downtime in a whole year can be only 5 minutes. And therefore, for us at Swift, being a pioneer in the area of highly available IT services was and still is a necessity. Fast deployments while maintaining security, reliability, and availability, while balancing the realities of a highly complex regulatory environment, these are the key requirements of our system. And this is where our automation strategy with Ansible comes into play. I'm now going to hand it over to Aidan to tell you more about how we achieve that goal.
Thanks, Subhashish. Hey, everyone. So my name's Aidan. I've been working on Ansible with Swift for several years now. What I can tell you about our automation is that whatever we do needs to be secure, reliable, and fast. That said, the primary consideration that shapes our automation strategy is pretty straightforward. It has to do with blast radius, and particularly how we reduce it. We are always concerned with the scope of our actions in automation, and we keep in mind the impact of our automation at all times. So as we develop new automation, we will often ask ourselves, what is the blast radius if something goes wrong? Does this automation have the potential to bring down another app inadvertently? What is the potential impact within the application? Could it have impact within a region? Could it impact multiple regions? Our priority at every stage is to prevent hiccups from becoming major issues so Swift can stay focused on delivering maximum value to our customers. So with this blast radius rule as a backdrop, let me walk you through some of the pillars of our automation strategy and how we continue to hone our approach based on the lessons that we learned. Number 1 is configuration as code. In an automation world where everything is going faster all the time, it can be hard to slow down and get it right, which is an internal mantra that our IT team uses. So to supplement our IAC practices, we've adopted a full config as code approach across the organization. The owners of most of our core applications need assurances that whatever they test and approve is completely immutable, but they also need to push new versions as often as every 3 months. So our environments in Swift are set up with this in mind, where everything in live is tested, exported, built in lower environments, and supported by Ansible execution environments, which actually come in really handy for this purpose because they enable us to provide an identical environment for running playbooks regardless of where we're running them from. Which leads me into number 2, which is our role-based access control. One of the most important elements for our entire technology stack would be how can we prevent applications A and B from impacting each other, and how can we prevent them from affecting their own applications in all regions at once, which all ties directly into our goal to reduce blast radius. So for us, what worked and didn't work, we have a very tight RBAC model in place. We restrict keys per application, per account, per region, So users have access only to the hosts that they need. All of our shared workflows and job templates in Ansible as well must align with this, so users can only use the keys that they own. We hit a roadblock with that specifically pertaining to Ansible workflows, which we were able to work around, but I'll get back to that in just a minute. All of this together led to the establishment of a golden rule. Distribution of keys to hosts is controlled by us as the platform admins, and we lock down how that access works, not just for Ansible, but for the hosts in general. This involves a lot of alignment with our platform teams so that when a host gets created, it gets created with the correct keys already in place using our automation. We think of this as getting vaccinated at birth, where a VM is created with the application keys already installed, along with a break glass key for emergencies, which has become part of the initial onboarding of all applications within Swift. Those previous 2 points lead to some interesting technical challenges, though. For instance, you may be aware that you cannot select machine credentials when launching an Ansible workflow. Swift has a lot of teams, though, that provide shared workflows, for instance, to install common components that are expected to be on any Swift VM. And that doesn't really mesh with the idea of restricting keys to individual teams. So how do we reconcile this? Do you bake in keys to those workflows that have wider access? That does work from a technical point of view, but we came up with a better solution, thankfully, which is what I tie into number 3 here, just-in-time credentials for job workflows. So instead of making workflows in Ansible public directly, we've instead written an Ansible role that is capable of updating and launching the workflow itself, which serves as kind of a wrapper for our Ansible workflows. The wrapper is able to update a workflow with your key, launch it for the user, and then let the job know that it's finished so you can launch another one immediately afterwards. This custom solution allows us to maintain our security standards without losing the flexibility that Ansible workflows provide us. All told, we have a few hundred applications all using playbooks and workflows for deployments. And as our automation practice has grown, so too have our needs for further growth, and we continue to expand and fit more of these needs. Our ambitions are to be able to scan playbooks at scale, implement policy and compliance as code, and investigate the use of AI in our automation and deployment going forwards.
As you can see, we are using Red Hat Ansible Automation to make our applications and workflows more secure and resilient in a number of ways. Our automation journey is going to continue, and we have no doubt that it will lead us down some interesting paths. Thanks for your time today. We look forward to meeting many of you and keeping this conversation going. Thank you.
Please welcome back Kaete Piccirilli, Sean Cavanaugh, and Dafne Mendoza.
Spikes.
Thank you to Subhashish and Aiden for sharing their story. The way that they are maximizing the capabilities of Red Hat Ansible to ensure resilient operations and application delivery at global scale is pretty impressive stuff. Makes me wonder if they can join me in all my customer discussions this week. And speaking of resilience, our final demo today is about our new AI capabilities coming to the Ansible Automation Platform. And this will make things easier for you and your teams to achieve similar results to what Swift has. All right, Sean, Dafne, are we ready to do this?
Yes.
All right.
Awesome. So the first thing I want to show is our newly released Ansible Lightspeed Intelligent Assistant. It's embedded into the product to provide step-by-step instructions on how to use Ansible Automation Platform. Think of it as an Ansible administrator that never takes the day off. In the top right corner, there is a new chat icon to launch the assistant. It's 100% on-premises and can operate completely disconnected from the internet. Here we're using Red Hat AI as the backend, but we're Red Hat, and the future of AI is open. As a customer, you could hook up any model you wanted to this intelligent assistant.
So what can you do with it?
So I've been automating with Ansible for some years now, but what if someone's new to Ansible Automation Platform? What if we can simply ask the virtual assistant what we normally ask a coworker, a search engine, or on the web, or some other trusted source? What if a new automator wants to know, for example, what is a job template and how does that relate to an Ansible playbook?
That is pretty cool. And what about a more advanced use case, such as building execution environments?
Yes, some folks have gotten stumped by execution environments. Lightspeed Assistant is also great at showing how to build execution environments and how to implement them in Ansible Automation Platform.
Wow. I wish I had this when I got started. No?
Me too.
So when is this going to be available?
This is available now as tech preview. Existing Ansible Automation Platform customers will get this included as part of their subscription.
So Sean, you just showed off what's part of the product today and how AI can be used to assist IT operations teams to get started. But this is great. But I know, Dafne, I've heard you've been playing with some future capabilities. Can you tell us a little bit more?
Of course. There is this new AI standard called MCP, which stands for Model Context Protocol, and it's an open standard that allows large language AI models to talk directly to end systems. In this future state, we are using MCP to allow Ansible Lightspeed Intelligent Assistant to have the ability to communicate directly with anything that Ansible Automation Platform manages. Let's ask the assistant again to tell us how to build the job template, but this time it will actually do it, not just give us instructions. And look at that.
So is it configuring all parts of the job template here?
Yes, it is actually configuring the job template and is doing that automatically.
Holy guacamole, that was fast. What else will it do? Can you show me what it's capable of?
Let's do it. So let's query Ansible Automation Platform, a question based on data and logs it contains. Which job templates have the most failures in the last 24 hours? Lightspeed Intelligent Assistant can quickly query all job runs over the last day and tell us which jobs have the most failures. Here, it has given me the top 3.
It seems here it's indicating it can help troubleshoot as well.
Absolutely it can. Let's be polite and ask it for help in finding which hosts caused the issue.
It costs nothing to be polite.
I'm not sure. Looks like there are issues with these 2 RHEL servers. Now let's let Lightspeed Assistant retrieve some information directly from the virtual machines. And it will again automatically create and execute the job template for us.
So in this case, it is using an AI-generated playbook to retrieve information from RHEL servers themselves based on our query?
Yes, it will create a playbook to collect some additional facts and information it can use to determine what is going on.
It looks like those two hosts, not houses, are out of storage. That would make sense why they're behaving strangely.
Yes, and they are running on OpenShift virtualization, so let's use the assistant to fix it.
Yes. So it's dynamically creating automation content as well to fix the issue?
Yep. It's lowering the barrier to troubleshoot IT infrastructure.
Well, that is nice. It's already increased their storage.
Yes, and we have content for automating OpenShift virtualization, so it's super easy for Lightspeed Assistant to use this content quickly to automate day 2 operational activities, like increasing memory or, in this case, storage.
I gotta say, I have one reservation. You were releasing AI-generated changes directly into production.
I know, it's pretty cool, right?
Are there any sort of guardrails or safety mechanisms we can put on content, whether it's AI-generated or not?
Yes. The later release of Ansible Automation Platform includes Ansible Policy Enforcement. This feature gives us the option to use any policy we have in place with OPA to restrict automation jobs from interfering with production systems. For example, we had a problem where certain team members were spinning up expensive GPUs on AWS, so I added a policy to restrict that.
Are you talking about Roger? That guy is out of control.
Yeah, it's typical Roger. But with policy enforcement, we can put a stop to his madness.
Thank you, Sean and Dafne. This is really, really cool. This is the final demo. We hope we've been able to show you some new and exciting capabilities that you're going to be able to put to good use soon. With that, let's bring out Sathish one more time to bring us home.
Thank you, Katie. Dafne, Sean, awesome stuff. Wasn't that a fantastic demo? Again, one more round of applause for them. And we'll take care of Roger separately. Thanks to also Armand, Chris, Christy, Evgeny, Subhashish, and Aiden. They are the embodiment of what makes the Ansible community so special. And their accomplishments are a powerful reminder that in the age of AI, it is the automators, all of you, who will pave the way. From building automation practices that span global enterprises, to migrating and managing virtualized stacks at scale, to delivering more resilient operations, we are just getting started. Let's keep the conversation going. Please plan to join us outside this ballroom in the atrium for an AnsibleFest happy hour that starts right now. Thank you.